Congressman Adam Schiff. He's a Democrat from California and the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. What do we know about this reported deal between Jordan and ISIS to get the Jordanian pilot out?
I think there's still a lot of moving pieces. It's not clear that ISIL is ready to trade the Jordanian pilot for this al-Rishawi. So I'm not sure that Jordan can go ahead without an assurance that they're going to get their pilot back. The war effort is controversial in Jordan. This puts the King of Jordan in a very difficult position. There have been a number of foreign fighters, many hundreds that have left Jordan to join the fight. So Jordan is in a precarious position, and I think this is deliberately designed to drive a wedge between the king and his people, as well as the nation of Jordan and the nation of Japan. So it's a very difficult box for Jordan to be in. And at this point, I don't think we know how this is going to turn out.
And Congressman, doesn't this put everyone, all world leaders, in a precarious position? Because if you acquiesce to ISIS's demands, it merely serves as an incentive for them to continue taking hostages and doing the rest of their barbaric acts.
That's certainly true. And I think if this goes forward and there is a swap, it is going to encourage them to try to take other prisoners. That is probably more of an issue when it comes to people like Mr. Goto, the journalist. The Jordanian pilot, all pilots, anyone that's actively fighting ISIL is at risk of not only becoming a prisoner, but becoming, killed in the conflict. So that's unavoidable. And obviously, I think we have to all take precautions to try to avoid putting any civilians, Western civilians, within the reach of ISIL, because it is of great value to them as a propaganda coup, as well as leverage against these governments and the war effort.
And of course, you've heard the Obama administration say that we do not negotiate with terrorists, yet it has been pointed out that in order to get Sergeant Bo Bergdahl out of Taliban hands, we had to, in some ways, negotiate. We went through an intermediary. But it's hard to say when it's one of your own that you wouldn't use every means necessary. So how is the Bo Bergdahl situation different from what Jordan is trying to do now?
Well, look, you can distinguish the two, but it's very difficult. And I think whatever the Jordanian government decides won't be critical of Jordan. They're in a very difficult spot. And as you point out, we did trade Bo Bergdahl for these Taliban in something that I'm not sure was a very good exercise and a very good precedent for the United States to set. But in any event, Jordan is a key ally. We'll support them whatever they decide they have to do. And this is, the scourge of dealing with a terrorist organization that is willing to behead people if it doesn't get what it wants. There are no laws of war. There are no rules of war. There's nothing but brutality and murder and death when it comes to ISIL. And it ought to reinforce, I think, for the entire world why this terrorist group has to be stopped.
Congressman, as you know, there's also been a terror attack on a tourist hotel in Libya, in Tripoli, in the capital. One American was killed. What should the U.S. response be?
Well, this is a very difficult situation because you've got two rival governments competing with each other, one in Tobruk and one in Tripoli. We have been trying to negotiate a resolution so that we can help Libya remain one country and reinstate some level of security, because in the absence of that security, we have ISIS taking advantage of the situation, carrying out attacks like we saw in this hotel. I mean, obviously, we're going to go to whatever length we can to bring to justice any of those that were responsible for killing this American and 7 others. But that's very difficult to do in an environment like Libya, where you don't have a stable government. And in fact, you have two governments that are in competition with each other.
Congressman, quickly, we have been reporting this morning that Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, is prepared to go back to Congress to testify about the terror attack in Benghazi, Libya. What more do you want to hear from her?
Well, I'm not sure what more there is to hear from the Secretary, and I fear that this is really just politically motivated. Obviously, they think this will be advantageous in terms of the presidential election, and I'm concerned with how this is being drawn out. The committee waited 6 months to ask for any documents from the State Department and now says, well, we have to delay bringing the Secretary in because we don't have the documents we want. So I fear that they're trying to run the clock so that they can push this further into the presidential cycle. But honestly, so much of the facts are known and have been described in great detail by the Accountability Review Board and about 8 other investigations. I'm not sure there's much new that the Secretary can tell us.
Congressman, last, can you tell us where Congress is on the authorization for use of military force in Syria and Iraq fighting ISIS?
Well, we're not much closer than we were when this conflict started now, almost half a year ago, which I think is an incredible abdication of our responsibility. I'm introducing a bill to authorize, a very narrowly tailored bill to authorize the use of force against ISIL. But I would love to see the Congress and the administration working together to actually have a debate on this war, have a vote on this. I'd also like to see it be a narrow authorization, not the kind of open-ended resolution we passed in 2001 and 2002, which are still being relied upon by the administration today in very different circumstances.
Yeah. Congressman Adam Schiff, thanks for taking time for us to come on New Day.
Thanks, Alisyn.
Thanks so much.